at Alderney Landing in Dartmouth, and we're going to talk about an exciting opportunity for you to learn more about the backlands of Nova Scotia with an art exhibit. I'm joined by Jennifer Escott, who's a volunteer with the Backlands Coalition, and she's an artist, and Frances Dorsey, who's a curator and artist who has set up this exhibit. So I think the first question everybody wants to know, I'll start with you, Jennifer, what are the backlands?
The Backlands is a wilderness area, one of the largest wilderness areas within a stone's throw of Halifax, a major Canadian city. You'll find 1,300 acres of lakes, of forested areas, of glacier-created whalebacks, all sorts of fascinating and interesting ecology back there.
The whalebacks are rock formations.
Whalebacks are rock formations. There's also things called erratics, which are giant boulders that have been picked up by the glaciers from possibly hundreds of miles away and deposited in the backlands.
So we're going to talk about protecting this area because it is at risk. Why is it important for you to send a message to people with art to protect these backlands?
Well, it occurred to me that we all do a lot of talking about protecting wilderness areas, and it seemed like people's intellects could be engaged, but it would be wonderful to engage their hearts as well. And art speaks to the heart. And I knew that there were a number of artists who used the backlands specifically as a source for their work. And I started looking at the work and thinking, wow, all of this work talks back and forth, converses with itself and with each other. Wouldn't it be wonderful to put it all together and see what happened?
Yeah, and there are 8 artists in this exhibition. It's all just, you're really literally setting it up in real time now, but you've done this exhibit before. The 8 artists come together, each with a very specific vision to celebrate the backlands in their own way. You are one of the artists. What kind of work do you do?
I take minute bits of moss, of lichen, and of fungi, and when I photograph them, blow them up so that people can see the kind of unique colors and weird and strange sort of shapes that these tiny organisms on the forest floor. I want them to have their own show. I want people to really see what they're walking over.
Well, what's wild is that what you see there, you would never think that's a tiny little piece of lichen, but those colors are not created by you. That's just what naturally occurs?
That's what naturally occurs when they're wet.
Okay. And Frances, what is the piece that you've contributed to this show?
I weave, and my piece was made on a loom, and I use natural dyes and natural fibers. Many of the dyes in this piece were from plants that I collected, really, really locally. And I'm just trying to evoke a sense of texture and plant life and color interactions.
Well, the piece is stunning, I'm sure. How long did it take to create that?
I have no idea.
You were telling me that weaving isn't about time. It's about just enjoying the process.
Yes.
Well, what are the pieces? I know this exhibit is going to be up until the end of September. So as people walk by, they might be drawn to take a look. And one of the pieces I know that's going to draw kids over is Megan Marentet's diorama of Rumi. She does these wonderful little dioramas for her children's books that are just so intricate and so special, and you get to get really up close and look at them. Why did you choose Rumi to be part of this?
I realized that Rumi was photographed in the backlands. Yeah. And one of the artists recognized a place where one of the pictures of Rumi was and said, "That's in my painting."
Wow.
So it just was such a rich conversation of different ways of looking at, the wild.
And so Jennifer, as a volunteer with the Backlands Coalition, I think you're hoping that these types of conversations come out of this art exhibit.
Absolutely. I mean, basically, there are people who might see just one of these paintings and notice somewhere that they have been. In fact, they did a study a few years ago, and it showed that 110,000 people have used the trails in the backlands recently. That's 1 in 4 Haligonians. So what we're hoping is that they might see something that resonates with them and maybe hop on board and say, well, this is something we need to save. This is not something that we need to pave over. We don't want to pave paradise and put up a a building lot.
So this exhibit is here at Alderney Landing until the end of September, but you've done already exhibits with these 8 artists, and there's been a huge response. What has the response been like?
The response has been amazing. We had an exhibition at the Chase Gallery at the Archives, and there were 2 additional artists in that show, and the turnout was astonishing. And many people were not particularly art gallery goers. They were people who are interested in nature, interested in the wilderness, had heard of the Backlands, had never heard of the Backlands, but they were just curious about what we had to say about the wilderness.
Well, thank you both for joining me this morning and introducing us to the show that's just emerging before our very eyes. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And thank you, Frances.
Thank you so much.
We put all the information about the Backlands protection and this exhibit on our website.